Chris, with like how the playoffs have played out, do you see a real stark difference between playoff basketball and regular season basketball, just in style of play, the results that we're seeing, kind of things like that?
I would say it's significant, yeah, for sure, definitely. Physicality's way up. I think the physicality has kind of recalibrated itself appropriately as the playoffs have gone on. I thought when the playoffs first started, I thought it was a little bit, kind of out of control at times, but it feels a little bit more like it's under control, appropriate. It's not affecting the game as much, or the players. They've also gotten used to it. I still think the game is fast. I don't think the game's slowed down to the point where everybody talks about playoff basketball being a half-court game. I don't see that. I still see both teams trying to get out and run and play with tempo, even more so now because defense is so has become defenses have stiffened, if you will, during the playoffs. So, but yeah, it's a significant difference, I think. So, is
it hard to evaluate exactly where you are as a team through the regular season to compared to the playoffs, or can you?
No, I mean I wouldn't say that it's like so night and day.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
I think I know what you're trying to ask, but I would say this: like, obviously the more times you're in the playoffs, like more things that that your team needs to have to be successful. So if you don't have those things as you go through a regular season, it might be red flags for you. I don't know if that helps, but that's kind of the way we would look at it. But
you guys flying out tonight or tomorrow?
We are flying tomorrow. Yeah.
How will you watch the game? Do you just
just probably at home.
Yeah.
Maybe in my office. I'm not sure. Wherever I am. So.
Chris, you mentioned the more you're in the playoffs, the more you realize what you need.
Yeah.
And Ant's talked a number of times about what he learned from being in the
Yeah.
How have you seen that with your guys' approach here this week and just kind of where they're at going to this one versus?
Well, I don't know how it'll pan out come game one, but we're in a very similar situation that we were between the first round and the second round right now. The number of days of practice, don't know who we're practicing against. You can already sense a much more business-like approach with our guys. So that's just an example of that's super relevant. And as years going by, I think one of the things with Ant, it just feels like he's kind of has a little bit more patience during a series. He understands that it's going to be a number of games, things are going to happen, and he's like letting them play out, if you will. Trusting the right play, using the defense against itself, those types of things. I think that's a learned behavior for him. Just understanding how to prepare yourself physically. I think our guys have done that better year on year, for the playoffs. So, there's no doubt about it. There's a lot of cumulative experiences there.
Happy with Ant's ability to not only avoid technicals, but it seems like he hasn't even got really close to them.
Yeah, I think so. I think for the most part, he's kept a lot of his emotions under control. I think the referees have done a really good job of managing emotions through the playoffs regardless. They know what's at stake for everybody out there. So, there's a lot more healthy dialogue going on anyway. So,
speaking of keeping emotions under control, have you ever seen Mike Conley not have his emotions? Has he ever had a meltdown in practice?
No, he's never had a meltdown in practice. He's never had a bad day around here. I've probably seen him maybe 2 or 3 times just get super frustrated in a game, but he always recovers quickly, and generally, he's unflappable.
And when you talk about having healthy dialogue with the refs, are the conversations better?
I'm talking about, I think, players and officials. Yeah.
How about with you and officials?
Yeah, I find myself having less conversations. There's so much going on, and obviously we've got the best of the best officials right now, so that they have pretty good temperament. So it's you can get more accomplished by saying less with them anyway right now. So which is how everybody should like it. So.
Chris, in the business-like approach thing, part of that just the emotions of that Denver series.
Yeah.
And kind of, it just seems like a stark difference in how you advanced this year compared to last year.
Right, exactly. We had a hard time staying on an even keel last year in that Denver series. Jumped out to a lead, didn't play well at home, and then obviously finished it out in a wild manner. And that kind of just, I think where that really kind of hurt us, it took a lot out of us emotionally and probably physically when we got to the next round. And, you know, we're in the same place we are right now. I think guys have a better grasp of that. Like, we still got 8 more wins to achieve our ultimate goal, and we still have 2 more series, and we're only halfway there. And I think there's just a far better understanding of that than there was a year ago.
Chris, has Ingles been an asset without playing?
Absolutely, yeah. We talked about that a lot yesterday. His leadership, his experience. You know, he's such a high basketball IQ guy. He's almost like, well, he is very much another coach on the floor, coach off the floor, on the bench. He's just always communicating with his guys. So, you know, he's paid dividends. You know, in many more ways than we could have imagined.
Looks like an unofficial lobbyist with the referee.
He has a very good
friendly discussion.
Yeah, he's a very good relationship with all those guys. So you know, that helps too.
Chris, this team seems like it has a genuine selflessness about it. Like, guys don't really care.
Yeah.
Given one night it might be some guys.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
I mean, I think that's learned. That's a kind of a learned behavior through the season. You know, I think generally we have really good people. We have very good people, so that gives you a chance to have those types of teams. You know, every team faces challenges with kind of individual agendas going on, whether guys are in contract years or not playing well, starting, not starting, finishing, not finishing, all that stuff at times, you know, has bothered us a bit. But, you know, I think there was just a recognition that coming down the stretch, those things had to be put down, and guys have done a great job. And I think they trust the fact that, like, you know, if you don't finish a game, or you don't play all the minutes or whatever, that it's not your new reality. The next day it could swing back into your favor. You know, I think they've done a better job of really trusting that, you know, kind of you know, rhythm to their basketball life. So
Seems like they have to trust that you're going to go back to them too.
yeah, I mean, you know, we've played, like, for the most part, we've played 8 guys, you know, so it's always going to come back around, and I think they realize that, you know. So
One more thing.
Yeah.
Is Ingles going to be a coach today?
I think he's going to be a coach. I think he said he would like to coach, you know, and he's going to be a really good one. There's no doubt about it. He's very smart. He's played basketball all over the world, so he knows stylistically that, you know, how to play the game differently but effectively. So.